Hi everybody. So my name is Siobhan O'Connor. Obviously, I know some of you, but I'm going to talk as if I don't know you, sort of, so some of you are really familiar with this story. Some of you have actually been part of this story, and some of you won't know anything about it at all. So I'm not going to apologise for going over ground that you already know. Hopefully, you'll like it anyway. I just wanted to. So ordinarily, if we were doing this event live, because we are part of the common law, you'd be getting some singing, and you'd be getting some. There'd be a double bass there, and there'd be a keyboard there, and a clarinet, and all that kind of thing. There isn't, obviously, because we haven't managed to do that yet, and I am not singing, I'm telling you now, and that's a good thing. Anybody who knows me will know that's a great thing that I'm not singing. So you'll just have to imagine that it's a bit more, if we were in the room, there would be singing, which would be very dangerous, obviously, so that's why we're not doing it. So the way that this evening is going to work is as follows. Basically, we're going to be talking about the project. So Rosie's Plaques was a guerrilla pop-up art project that we staged, that started 18 months ago, and it was a project that we put on basically to highlight the fact that out of about 300 heritage plaques in Norwich, only 25 represent the lives or the experiences or the achievements of women. You'll hear me say that statistic at least twice more, because you can never say it enough. I hope you will go away, and if you didn't know it already, you'll be banging on about it every opportunity, as we do. So that's what Rosie's Plaques was. So most of this evening is going to be talking about how that project came about, what happened whilst we were doing it, and our future plans. In addition to that, we're going to be doing some live plaque making. So at some point quite soon, I'll be handing you over to Kate in her kitchen in the Golden Triangle, and she will be doing some live plaque making. So hopefully she'll show us how that works, and then at the end of the evening, we'll have a reveal of that plaque. But I wanted to start this evening by just playing you a really short little film that we made before handing you over to Kate, and then we'll come back to here. So that means I have to share my screen, which means you have to see me looking confused, but anyway, never mind. So I'm going to do it now. Okay. See what I mean? Oh, that's not right. Okay. Can you hear the sound on that? No. Okay, sorry. Just bear with me a minute.
We're also brilliant at technical stuff. You'll learn this tonight.
Yeah, we're dreadful at it. Just hang on a sec. What's happened there then? Right, I'm going to try again. Sorry. Oh, I know why. Can you hear?
Hi there, my name's Eileen.
Hi, I'm Nikki.
Hi, I'm Ali.
Hi, I'm Nicole.
Hi, I'm Eve.
Hello, my name's Claire.
Hello, I'm Fee.
Hello, I'm Kate.
I'm Maggie.
Hello, my name's Siobhan and I'm a Rosie. We started this project because we wanted to draw attention to the fact that out of 300 heritage plaques in Norwich, only 25 represented the lives of women.
I made a plaque, and I'm responsible for the stories about the less famous but no less important women, the kind of women who rocked the boat as well as the cradle.
I'm Maggie, and this is Patricia Hollis. I was lucky enough to know Patricia. She was a real inspiration to me and many other women in Norwich, a real role model for so many women, and well deserving of our plaque.
I love Norwich Castle. I love this story. More people needed to know it. That's why we gave Emma de Gelder a plaque.
The words for Scolds, written by another member of the group, really resonated with me. All the women who've been silenced over the centuries. We will not be silent.
When I read Margaret Fountain's exquisite diaries, I fell in love with her fearlessness, her independent spirit, her single-mindedness, and her ability to be radical without even standing on a soapbox.
Mabel Clarkson understood that the areas that are so often dismissed as domestic really should be at the very heart of public policy. She knew that if citizens were given decent housing, good wages, education and healthcare, then the wealth of the nation would follow, not the other way round.
That there is Dorothy Jewson, a very important political unsung woman, honoured by a plaque that made by women for our women, top birds.
In the early part of the 20th century, a branch of the National Union for Women's Suffrage opened a shop on Brigg Street in Norwich, selling badges, pins and books to spread the word and raise money for the movement. I loved making this plaque, and I especially loved seeing it on the wall, honouring women who came long before me, campaigning and fighting for our rights.
For me, the Rosie's project was a great way to celebrate some brilliant local women, to get them visible on the streets, and for people to go past and see one of our plaques and say, that wasn't there before. Who was this woman? I'm going to find out about her.
The thing that I really love about being involved with Rosie's plaques is the making real and the making physical of all of these untold women's stories. We need more and more of it.
Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that little film from some of our Rosies. It also meant that you saw some of the Rosies who aren't here at the moment. I'm going to hand you over now to Kate in Norwich, who's going to talk to us a little bit about the way that the plaques are made. With the reason, it might seem a little bit illogical to do it this early, but we have to do that because she needs time for the stuff to set. You'll see why, and then we'll talk about it a bit more. So if I can hand over to Kate, if people can make sure that they're on there on speaker view, that would be really good.
Hello, right. I'm going to run through this process. It's a little bit different to the way that we actually did it when I can only see you, Siobhan. Is that right? You can see me, can you?
Yeah, don't worry, Kate. We can all see you. It's fine.
Oh, right. Okay, that's fine. I can't see me. That's the trouble. We're doing this a slightly different way to the way we did it when we did them because, as Siobhan says, we need to get through it in the day. So I've done half of your plaque, half of the plaque that's been done for tonight. So I'm just going to show you how I did that, and then we'll do the second half of the plaque. And hopefully by the end of the evening, as Siobhan says, it will be finished. But this is live broadcast, so I'm not making any guarantees it's going to turn out, but we hope so. So first of all, we make our plan for our woman. So what we've been asked for this time is for this lady, who is the person who sort of reinforced the belief and made sure, and everybody now believes, that the Broads were man-made, that they weren't natural. Before this, there were theories that that might be the case. There were theories that it was not the case, that they were natural. And she sort of proved that. So that is why this lady has been chosen by the history group. So first of all, we have to decide how it's going to go on the plaque. Decide our wording. Because they're not official plaques, we can be a little bit more creative with our wording rather than just born, died, lived here, daughter of, and all that sort of official stuff. But because we're using clay to make our mould effectively, we have to write it backwards. We're going to cast into the clay and then tip it out. So we have to put all our letters backwards. So because it's really easy to mess this up, I think everybody who made a plaque did this, made it so they could lay the letters on it and not get them wrong. Because you can imagine B's and D's and things when you're doing it backwards or getting the numbers upside down. Now, the first step is to put the clay into a mould. These are silicon cake moulds. You could make your cakes in them. There are many methods of doing this. You can just put a lump in and crash it in there, which is quite tiring on the fingers. But I've just rolled my rolling pin up in cling film and rolled it out approximately. Then I have to do a bit less squashing. Now I'm going to put that in there. It doesn't quite fit, so I'm going to squish it down into the edges, because this is going to be the front of our plaque, if that makes sense. Now, for those of you who've seen the plaques, you'll see they've got a bit like a picture frame around the edge. So we have to cut some of the clay out. And again, there are many methods of doing this. Somebody's very kindly given me a special little tool, which for anyone who's done pottery, they might have seen. So I can literally scrape around the edge and make a bit that's lower down than everything else. These are handmade plaques, so this is never going to look like something that's come out of an official mould or was made at Wedgwood or something. And that actually is worth mentioning, that one of the things that people have thought when they see our plaques is that they're made of a china or a porcelain or a stoneware. They're not, they're made of resin. Just like an epoxy resin, the sort of two-part thing that you'd use araldite and that sort of thing. But this is a water-based resin, so it's a bit nicer to use. So I don't know, you probably can't see, but I have started to dig out a thing around here. So I would have done this for the plaque around the whole thing and taken it to a reasonable depth. I then need to start laying out the letters, and this is what this is for. Now, personally, and people do it differently, I like to start in the middle. And again, so I don't get in a muddle, I've got all my letters on an alphabet, so I can pick them from the right place and not accidentally pick up an N when I wanted a U or a B when I wanted a D. I'm going to put that there, and I would start in the middle of the plaque to try and get it more or less central. So I would put my first word that I'm going to do, picking the letters off, N-O-R-F. And then I've got another O, so I can only go that far at the moment. But I tend to put them in a line above, so I sort of can keep myself a bit straight. And then it's just a matter of pushing these letters in. I'll just do a few because you don't want to sit there all night watching me putting bits of letter into a bit of plasticine. But you can imagine some of those plaques you've just seen in the film have quite a lot of writing on them, and took some of the Rosies a very long time to do. But that should just do 4 letters and we should be able to see what's going on. So can you read that? Yeah, just about, I think, probably. I'll get it, the music on it. So we make the whole mould that way. And then it's a matter of pouring in the resin. So that's what I'm going to do now. Well, we have to mix it first. So the resin we use is called jessamite. You can probably see that, it says jessamite, and it comes in 2 parts. So we've got powder, which I've already weighed out to save some time. And then we mix it with a liquid. And there's 2.5 times as much powder as there is liquid. And we do that by weight. It's not by volume, it's by weight. So I'm just going to weigh out the liquid in my wonderful modern non-digital digital scales until this is the right amount. Sorry, let's see, getting there. Whoa. Yeah, beautiful. So we'll get rid of that. Right, we always add the powder to the liquid rather than the other way around. And what we're trying to do is make sure that this is not as unlumpy as possible. Obviously, when people use epoxy a lot industrially, they have mechanical mixers and they have all sorts of aids to do this, and it's never going to be possible to get it entirely smooth. But it's particularly important with the first pour because that's going into those little letters. So if you've got a great big lump in one of your letters, you could have a bit of a problem. So I'm trying to get this in. There's also a trade-off between electric mixing and bubbles. Epoxy, for those of you who've used epoxy will know, whether it's the more usual epoxy or these water-based polymer epoxies, produces as part of its chemical reaction bubbles. So if you mix vigorously, you're introducing more and more bubbles, and then you can get those in your plaque. And again, with the first row, where the first layer, where the writing is, that can be quite a problem when the little letters. Sorry, this is a bit tedious, isn't it? Yeah, this seems to be particularly lumpy today. Now, the other thing we've done, there is a bit of give in this epoxy, so it's not entirely brittle. It won't just snap. But in the same way as people have for a long time put horsehair into mud to make houses, and Adobe is done by mixing natural products in, we have put a mixture of things in this over the time. Initially, we were putting goat's hair in because someone happened to have goats. But they do make an official product, which they call choppy, which is basically glass fibre sheets, just chopped up into little bits. So again, we don't put that in the first pour because it would interfere with it going nice and smoothly into the letters. But we put just a bit of that into the second pour because it just helps to hold it together and make it a little bit more robust. So some of the other Rosies will be able to tell you tales of plaques that did come to us some damage when they fell off the walls, but that's part of the later chat, I think. Right, I think that's smooth enough for a pour. So I'm going to put a bit of this chop in, not a lot, you know, just a little bit, probably 2 or 3 little things, and give it a bit of a mix around. Now, when we first did them, we did the pours only about 15-20 minutes apart. So the resin wasn't 100% set. But because I did this morning to make sure it was 100% set and we'd have time tonight, I just roughed up the surface a little bit and put a little bit of chop on it so it's got something to anchor itself to make it into a good solid lump. So now we're just going to pour this onto here. And that is pretty much all there is to it. The other thing I might say is that I mark the moulds because there've been a couple of times when we knew where it was going to go that we've embedded a fixing at this point into the mould. And you obviously need to know where the top is. And at this point, you don't know where the top is anymore once you've covered it. So by making a mark of where you've started your letters, you can be sure that you'll get your hanging in the right place. But we're not doing that on this one. So now I'm just going to pour this in here. Get it all in. Because it's water-based, you can clean up with water as well. This is all washable off. We can use the equipment again. So that makes life a lot easier.
Okay, so I think we're going to leave that there, Kate, and then we'll come back to you in about 20 minutes or something. 20 minutes,
Just
25
talk
minutes.
about the bubbles a little bit, because once you've done that pour, you do really need to agitate it.
Oh yeah.
Because particularly with the first pour, you definitely do, because you'll have lots of bubbles in your letters, and it's very important that you agitate it. So that's the last thing I've got to say, really. So off you go.
Thank you, Kate. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. I'm just going to change this. Oh no, that's one. Oh, what's happened here? Okay, so I'm going to share the screen again. So the idea is that in about 20 minutes time, we'll come back to, and you'll be able to see what the plaque looks like, how it comes out. And then, I don't know, Rachel, we'll talk about a little bit about what's going to happen to that plaque, shall we, at the end? That'd be really great. Okay, fine. So, okay, so the first thing to say, as lots of you know, is that Rosie's Plaques is part of is a common lot project, and the common lot are if you don't know, some of you are part of the common lot, I know, and so lots of you have been to our shows, but some of you might not be aware of us. But the common lot are a community theatre company, and we make theatre for, with, and about the people of Norwich. We make theatre that matters, that we think is relevant, that tells stories that are untold often, and our theatre is always free. That's one of our main principles. And so Rosie's Plaques is part of the common lot project. But in 2016, we made a show called Come You In, which some of you might have heard of, which was a celebration of the proud history of incomers into Norfolk. It was a big show, lots of us were in it. And in that show, I played the character of Harriet Martino. And I had a line in it, which was Harriet Martino, as you probably know, I'm sure you all know, was a 19th century feminist who lived in Norwich. And I had a line which was, why is it always about the great Norfolk men? What about the great Norfolk women? And as is often the way with common lot shows, what happens is that something sparks in one show and that leads on to something else. Or basically we get to the end of the show and there's an empty, terrible feeling, and we're thinking, crikey, how are we going to feel that empty, terrible feeling? And we think of another show. And so every time we did the show, I was saying, what about the great Norfolk women? There was kind of lots of discussions going on behind stage, and afterwards saying, yeah, that's absolutely right, actually. Perhaps our next show needs to be about Norfolk women. And so we made an all-women show called All Mouth No Trousers, and there's a whole, I mean, some of you will have seen that show, and there's a whole other sort of story to be told about that, but it was basically an all-women show. We researched it and wrote it and performed it ourselves in pubs and in coffee shops in October. It was really good fun. It was really successful, and we really liked it. When we were researching that show, right at the beginning, oh, here we are doing it. This is us rehearsing the show in a pub. You can see us there with I won't explain the butterfly net, but anyway, there we are, and that's on the last night. It was really good. So when we have a kind of process in the common lot, because our show's all original, we don't do other people's plays. We have a process called which is kind of starts with research, and then we respond to that research by writing, and then we do performance. So and what was great about All Mouth was that we wrote the whole show ourselves. But so we at the beginning of the process, we paid a historian called Jill Barnshard to take us on a walk around Norwich called Notable Women. Some of you might have come across her. She does this walk around Norwich called Notable Women. And as we went on this walk at the very beginning of our process, one of the things that was becoming apparent is a kind of theme that was reoccurring was how few memorials there were to women. There's a couple of them there you can see, and in particular, not very many plaques. And so when we were writing the show, we were writing monologues and sketches and poems and all sorts, and I decided I wanted to write a song about this business about there not being very many plaques for women. But I'm not a songwriter. I can't write songs, basically. I definitely can't write music. So what I did was, this is where the singing would usually come in, but I'm not going to sing. What I did instead was I took a well-known song and I changed the words, because that's easy. And the well-known song that I chose was The Streets of London. And I called it wait for it, the Plaques of Norwich, really original. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but to give you an idea, it basically started with this. Have you seen the blue plaques and the grey ones and the brown all around the city on the walls and the floor? I know it shouldn't be floor, I know it should be ground, but it doesn't rhyme with anything. Some show important people, some mark events of old, but mostly we don't know what they are for. Anyway, you can see how it went on, right? So this song goes on. Another line, another verse is, have you seen the rich men with their names on all the buildings, Walpole and Davy, Paston and Howe, but where's Caprina Fahey and where is Mabel Clarkson? No plaque for Dottie Jewson to remember her now. Anyway, it went on and on and on. I won't go through the whole thing. Although there is one line I have to share with you because I was particularly proud of it, which was, that's true, there's two for Martino. I was very proud of that line. Nobody ever remembers it. Anyway, at the end of the song, there's a line which goes, I think it says, so now let me tell you the numbers of all the plaques that we could find. We counted more than 300 to take you through the streets of Norwich. And then, big pause, dramatic pause. Only 25 are women. That should make you change your mind. And the whole audience would gasp in horror. And a little tear was shed occasionally. And after every show, literally after every show, somebody said, you want to do something about that? You want to do something about that terrible thing? And we kept thinking, yeah, we should. Luckily for us, one of the Rosies, Nicole, who's not here tonight, had a friend called Caitlin, who was an artist. And one night we were sitting in the Playhouse bar after a show at the Octagon Chapel, and we were talking again about how we should do something about it. And Caitlin said, do you know what? I went on a course. I know how to make plaques. And so that is where usually, you know, these things are discussions in the pub and no more happens. But the show ended and we were bereft and we needed another project. And so for once, the discussion in the pub became a reality. Basically, what we did was, we decided we had enough time and to make 8 or 9 plaques. And so each woman in the Rosies decided for herself which woman she wanted to commemorate, decided what the wording was going to be on her plaque, and decided which building it was going to be on. And then we went off in the depths of winter out to a secret location in the middle of North Norfolk, and we made plaques over 2 or 3 nights. There was all kinds of things. How we sang a lot of songs while we were doing it, I have to say, because it was bloody freezing, and also we drank a lot of wine because it was bloody freezing, but we did make these plaques. So here you can see, well, we just see what happens with that, and then later on was painting it. And then we had the problem, really. Oh, and I should say, we didn't tell anybody. We were really good. We were really, really secretive about it. We didn't even tell, some of us didn't even tell our partners or our kids. I mean, we did a bit, but we were really, really secretive about it because we were determined that this was going to be like a secret guerrilla type affair, you know. And we had a lot of discussions then about how we were going to actually put them up. We were decided that we were going to dress up in balaclavas and black clothing, but then we realized it was May. It doesn't get dark till about 10 o'clock at night, and most of us needed to be in bed with our cocoa by about 9:30, so there wasn't much point dressing up in balaclavas. But then it occurred to us that actually we were going to be doing this during the Norfolk and Norwich Festival. And so we just thought, well, do you know what? Actually, if we were to dress up and go out in broad daylight, they'd probably just think it was part of the festival. And so that's what we did. And that's where the idea of Rosie's came along, because we dressed up as Rosie the Riveter. She was, I don't know why Ali's laughing. Yes, there we are out in our Rosie the Riveter costumes. We hadn't all invested in boiler suits at that point. We were just in jeans and denim shirts. So we went out during the Norfolk and Norwich Festival. We had a really good time, actually. Now, if Nicole was here, she'd tell you that we did a lot of research about how to put them up. So we were conflicted. On the one hand, we obviously wanted the plaques to stay up. On the other hand, we were aware that most of the buildings we were putting them on were listed. So how to put a plaque up and not damage a listed building? And first of all, we did a lot of research on it, and there was many messages going backwards and forwards about all kinds of things, Gorilla Glue and tape and fixings and all kinds of stuff. And to begin with, we used Gorilla Tape. But if you look on this slide, you'll see that didn't really work out. So tragically, on the first night, we put up 3 plaques, and by the next morning, all 3 plaques had fallen down. So we had to try again, and we tried various different methods. Eventually, we went back to our trusty old cable ties because cable ties mean that you can put your plaques up, you won't damage any buildings, and they'll stay up. So over the course of about a week or so, I suppose, we put all of the different plaques up. And then we didn't do any press releases, we didn't do anything like that, but we did two things mainly. We had one friend who had quite a lot of followers on Instagram, and we sent him some photos, and we asked him to, he's a guy called John Tin, he runs a Instagram account called Norwich Lanes and Norwich Now, and we sent him some photos and asked him to post, and he just posted a couple of things going, oh, what are these? I wonder what they are, you know. And the other thing that we did, well, that Ali did, I'm going to get Ali to talk about now, is Ali set up a Twitter account. And so Ali, well, there's another picture of a plaque. We'll talk about those in a minute. Yeah, so Ali, can you tell us a little bit about what we did with the Twitter account, or what you did with the Twitter account?
I think we were really lucky. I mean, we hit something that was, as we kept saying, zeitgeisty. Everybody wanted to know about it. I set up a random Twitter account, and we hadn't even decided on a name for the project when I set it up, but we talked about going out as Rosies. So late at night, the night that they were putting them out, I was thinking, what should we call it? Oh, Rosie's Plaques will do. And so we ended up using that. Started off by following lots of local Norwich accounts, including Nick Stone, who's a historian. He's a good friend of ours. Norwich Now, like you were saying, local papers, things like that. And then it just got massive traction. I think when it got picked up by Look East and the EDP, and part of it was the fact that it was an enigma. Nobody knew where the plaques had come from, who was responsible for putting them up. And then people kept coming to us. So, but I think by the end, I was fielding messages from 5 Live and the local news and national newspapers. And the more people that retweeted it, the bigger it got.
Yeah, and we did, in the end, we cracked. Like, for ages we wouldn't say who we were, but I mean it was pretty silly because it was written on the back of the plaques. It had common law and all mouth no trousers and stuff that nobody wanted to look. But in the end we did crack because we decided that we wanted you know, we did want to get the publicity, and we had lots of publicity and newspapers and things like that. I just want to go back a little bit because I just think I'm going to just stop talking about the story for a minute and talk a little bit about some of the women that we chose. So Maggie's here somewhere. So there's you know, you'll have seen the various plaques. I'm going to show the website later on, but I just wanted to give you an example of one of them. And I think Maggie, are you here? I can't see you on my screen. Maggie.
I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You got me?
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah. You want me to talk about Mabel?
Yes, please.
So here she is in all her glory. What Mabel said was, I believe the best wealth for a city is in the health of its citizens. I shall always be in favour of feeding children who are in want, giving them a good education, paying the worker a living wage, caring for the sick in the hospitals and asylums, and pensions for aged workers. That alone, I think, was enough to guarantee her a place, sitting rather wonkily on the wall of the Guildhall last year. The Guildhall, because when Mabel was the first woman councillor in Norwich in 1913, the Guildhall is where the City Council would have met. Rather wonkily, because it has to be said, some of us were slightly better at the craft aspects of this project than others. Siobhan and I got very good at pretending to be making blacks while pouring lots of glasses of wine. And she was attached to a ring because of our determination that no building should be destroyed in the course of this project. And afterwards we found out that the ring we'd attached her to was there to attach prisoners awaiting trial. So we felt we owed her a bit of an apology. So what she said, I think, so resonated with us. She was absolutely one of our women, but also our research always took us in other directions. So what I discovered when thinking about Mabel was that women are still underrepresented in public life. Only 34% of our parliament are women. And, you know, it was only last year that the amount of women in Parliament exceeded the total number of women that had ever been in Parliament prior to that, which is a really scary statistic. We don't do so badly in Norwich. About half of our councillors are female, but having only half women kind of felt a bit unambitious, really. So I think we've still got a way to go. Hence, she was the first of many, but I think she's probably there are still too few. So that's Mabel. She lives on my mantelpiece.
Thank you, Maggie. Yeah, I should say that obviously we took the plaques were taken down after a time. At the moment, they're all residing in people's houses for safekeeping. They were going to be, obviously, we would have hoped they were going to be in the Millennium Library by now, and I'm hoping that at some point in the future, Rachel, that will happen, or they'll be in an exhibition somewhere. The other, I'm going to just Ruth, are you there? Ruth.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, this is Ruth. Did you want to talk about your plaque?
She's here in real life.
So Ruth, what does this plaque mean to you? Can you tell us about what it means to you and where we put it and what happened to it?
Okay, so this plaque, dedicated to profane and opinionated women who gathered here, was to do with the monologue that I performed during All Mouth No Trousers. It referred to an event in 1642 where 2 women were ejected from the Quaker meeting house for being profane and opinionated. This is noted down in the records book. I love this phrase. When we were performing, or when we were actually producing the show itself, the term profane and opinionated started to become sort of an affectionate term for all the women who were sort of taking part. And yeah, just all the radical women who became part of the production and got involved in the production. I myself went on a bit of a journey through the production itself, because it became clearer and clearer as it went on that were it not for all our previous generations who'd spoken out, gone against the status quo and been opinionated, I don't think we'd be where we are today, and in terms of our progress. So I wanted to sort of dedicate it not only to the people who are part of the production and to all the wonderful women that I've met through being part of this production, but also to everybody, you know, all the shoulders we're standing on. So yeah, so that's why it was put up on the Quaker meeting house. And she was there for a very, very long time, up until the point at which we were going to do a TV interview in front of her. And in the 5 minutes in me walking past her and then walking back to where she was, she disappeared. She had been taken down, but we managed to find out where she'd gone. She'd been taken down so that she didn't cause offence to anybody. And we reclaimed her and took her home and kept her safe. But yes, that was a scary moment because we thought we'd lost her for good, but no, she was okay. So yes, that's what my plaque was all about.
Thank you, Ruth.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so this is just some images of all that of that kind of crazy couple of weeks already when we were getting all this publicity. I mean, one of the things about that publicity was that, oh yeah, in the middle of all this, Ruth sent a WhatsApp message to Ali saying, just a thought. I've said, they look at you, we could make this into badges, couldn't we? Right?
Sorry, Ali.
And Ali was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So Ruth or Ali, how many badges did we make in total?
That's an Ali question. That's not
Ali,
a me question.
It was, when we did the fundraiser for Leeway, it was over 3,000. All of them made by hand, a lot of them made by my children, who now shudder when you see a badge maker. And that's about right. And then when we sold them at the shop and at the market stall, that was probably another 300.
Yeah. So we how much money did we raise for Leeway with the badges then? About £3,000, was it?
It was £3,000, yeah.
Yeah, £3,000. So that was all going on, and then of course what happened was that people were hearing about this. People from all. Oh, I forgot. Then we won a Norfolk Arts Award, which was also really good. Anyway, what all this meant was, the really good thing about all this was that people all around the country started to hear about us and started to say, "Can you come and make plaques for us?" And so we decided, because now the project was, we in the middle of all this, we've been in another place. And yet again, we were in this situation where we're like, oh, the project's dying down, we need something to do. Luckily, all these people started saying, do you want to come, can you come and make plaques with us? And so the idea for Rosie's Plaques on Tour was born. So we decided that what we wanted to do was, I'm not going to go through this in loads of detail, was to basically raise enough money to convert some sort of vehicle into a workshop and go all around the country making plaques. And that's kind of our vision. And we would have been doing that this year, except for the pandemic, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do it next year instead. So we raised some money on a crowdfunder. A lot of you will have contributed to that. Thank you very much. We created a research toolkit because the idea is that people in these towns and villages do their own research for their own women. And then we bought this lovely caravan, which now looks like that. And next year we're going to be taking her on tour. So we have this kind of vision, really, that next summer the whole of the UK will be kind of peppered with these blue plaques celebrating unsung women in lots and lots and lots of different locations. This is where we're going to begin with, but hopefully we'll be going further than that as well. So the last thing that we've done just recently, I'm rushing through now because I'm aware of the time and I don't want to just keep on saying, well, then we did this and we did that. Just want to share with you all our website that we've just launched. Hopefully this will work. Yeah, okay. So one of the things about the website, apart from the fact that there's a shop where you can buy badges, but also there's this great thing called the Plaque Map. So if you go onto our website and you go onto here, you'll see there's this plaque map and there's little pictures of all the plaques that were up in Norwich. You can click on a plaque. Look at this.
Oh, we can't see it, Siobhan.
Why can't you see it?
I don't know. You might have to unshare and then reshare.
I can see it. Okay, sorry. No. Sorry, I'll try again now. Okay, yeah, it might work this way. Is that working now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a on the website. If you go to Rosie's Plaque website, there's all these different things, obviously, but this is the plaque map here, and then there's pictures of all our plaques, as you can see. If you click on one of the plaques, then you get this little thing, and then you click on find out more. Isn't that lovely? Honestly, I'm so delighted with this. It's the best thing ever. But what will be even more exciting is next year when this plaque map is like the whole of the UK, and so every time somebody puts a plaque up in Lichfield or in Folkestone or in Sheffield or in wherever it is we're going to be, they'll send us the information and the plaques will be dotted around all over the place. So that's something that we're really excited about. And also we really want to try and encourage people to make their own plaques, which is why we've got there's a research toolkit on here, and also a little video we're going to have to show people how to make their plaques as well. So that's kind of our ambition, really, is to, well, our ambition is to populate the entire UK with plaques, basically, all over the place. So I think we're coming to the end. I'm just going to check though. I think. Right, I think that's it. So can I just ask the other Roses if there's anything I missed out that you think was really important that I should have said? Or do you think I should stop talking now?
Did you say about we won the award?
Yeah,
she did. Yeah, we did. I skimmed over a bit because I didn't want us just to be saying, oh, and then we did this and then we did that. But yeah, I did mention that we won the award. That's true. Yeah. Okay.
It's just really how international it got. It was what we're sending badges to America and Australia and New Zealand. The Institute of Lepidopterists were very excited about Margaret Fountain's plaque and put it up on her Wikipedia page as an official thing. We had some women in Ireland, the women of Cahir, who wrote this amazing book about the women in their town, which they researched and wrote after they thought their local historical society was all too male dominated. And then 2 of them flew over for our last event, and we met them, and it was amazing, and just for the one evening. So yeah, it's been a huge thing.
I think that's been one of the most lovely things about this project, really, is the connections that we've been making with other women, or, you know, like Ali says, both in this country and also like the amount of enthusiasm. When Ali put it out on Twitter, would you like us to come to your town to make your plaques? I mean, honestly, we were overwhelmed, you know. Oh yes, there we go. Overwhelmed by people, you know, saying, yeah, please do come, and there are lots of groups now starting to do their own research and things like that. Just trying to look at the thing. Are there any other?
Oh, the only other thing, sorry, was the book, The Profane and Opinionated.
Oh yeah,
book.
tell us about that. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, go on.
Her surname's escaping me.
Perry.
Sarah Perry.
Sarah Perry wrote a book, and she titled it dedicated to the profane and opinionated women of Essex, which she took from, she was in Norwich that weekend that the plaques went up, and she saw it and mentioned it in her keynote speech, and we also get a mention in her book as well, so that was very exciting.
Are there any, I think Kate, are we ready to go back to you to peel off your clay? Oh, we really want to go to Bristol. We're planning like a little West Country little circuit, so definitely, yeah, definitely, that'd be great, really good, yeah, we'd love to. So the idea with the tour is that we're basically going to that all the research is done before we get there. By you set up your own like little research group, do your own research, and then we rock up in our plaque shack, we're calling it, with sisters are doing it for themselves, blaring out. I hope so, and then come through the city streets, and then we make the plaques with you over the weekend, and then you put the plaques up and do it yourself. So that, you know, that's the idea basically. I'm thinking, Rachel, should we go back to Kate now? Do you reckon?
Yeah, if Kate's ready.
Kate, are you ready? Oh, what's she doing?
She got the book.
Just put the book up.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Kate, are you ready? Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I don't know until we take it out.
It might not work. It has to be said that when we made the plaques, loads of things went wrong. I meant to say, like Dorothy Jewson, it said Dorothy Jewson's plaque says educated here, but it didn't say educated here first of all. It said Ebby Bebe here, because we couldn't get the D's and the B's the right way round, you know. And then she fell off the wall. So it looked like a great success story. There were numerous failures. So, but that's absolutely fine. Right, I'm just going to change.
Admit that even after I'd gone to all that effort to get it right, I still rushed it when I'd finished to the mirror and held it up to see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If it said what I thought it said. Right, I'm going to try. Do feel free to
drum roll.
Well, it's come out. The only question is, will the clay come off easily? Because I had a bit of problem with this last time. I'm having the same problem again. Why does it not come off for me? Oh, hang on, I've got a little tool somewhere. This is the bit we had before, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why, because it never happened with the real ones. No. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Kate. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you to try and get the clay off by yourself.
Right.
It's not, and then come back to you again. It's not great TV. And then come back to you, and then come back when we've got some success. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go to Rachel and to Q&As. Is that okay?
That's fine. Right.
Okay, fine. So Rachel, did you want to talk a little bit about this plaque that we've made here and what's going to happen to it?
Yeah, so the Rosies asked us at the Heritage Centre. I should have mentioned at the beginning, the Heritage Centre is part of Norfolk Libraries, and we're based at the Millennium Library in Norwich. and we sort of house anything to do, printed and published, to do with the history and heritage of Norfolk. So as soon as I saw the Rosie's project, I was so excited and had to sort of get them on board with various things. So that's been brilliant. But I was very excited because they asked me if we could dedicate or nominate a woman to be turned into a plaque this evening, and I immediately thought of Dr. Joyce Lambert, because I think she's just a really, really underrepresented local woman, and she was actually the first person to discover, through her research and through sort of boring down into the peat in the Broads, she actually discovered that they were man-made and not a natural feature. And she really had to stand up and fight against all these male scientists and who were saying, no, they're a natural feature. And she said, however mundane it might seem, actually they are man-made, and they were dug out, you know, in medieval times to create these transport links. So I just think she's like a brilliantly sort of, you know, the Broads are such a big part of what makes Norfolk, and she's such an important figure. So that's why I thought she would be a fantastic person to be on the Rosie's plaque.
And also it allows us to do a pun, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We could do a pun about Broads, which
Broads, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's really, really good. Are there any things in the chat box? Are there any questions?
So let me just have a look. So Carrie,
it's just telling people they're great, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, I saw that. I just wondered if there's any questions.
At the start, Carrie asked about closed captions, and I just want to say, and we didn't have them enabled for this, but I will put them on the video. So we are recording today's talk, so I will put subtitles on the video to make that accessible for everybody. We have got lots of inspired people that want to make plaques in Bristol and Winchester, because they've got lots of profane and opinionated women, which is brilliant. Somebody here from Ireland who thoroughly enjoyed their visit to the Rosies, so that's great.
That's great.
Somebody else who thinks you're absolutely amazing, so glad you're celebrating them, sharing the stories.
From London, that's really nice. It's really great.
Brilliant. This is solidarity and admiration. That's great. Has anyone got any sort of one thing I wanted to ask was, if you were going to do this whole thing again, is there anything that you'd do differently?
I wouldn't spend so much time using blooming gorilla tape, and we'd use cable ties from the beginning, maybe. Yeah, I don't know, Maggie. Maggie?
You're silent. Yeah, it's all right. You put yourself on mute. Yeah, I was thinking yesterday, I think she's here somewhere, Jazz, who works in the museum service, was interviewing me yesterday about this project, and she was talking about having women representative of the BAME community and LGBTQ community. And one of the things that struck me is that a lot of our women, we were able to research their history because they were quite prominent women, they were quite wealthy women, not exclusively, and that a lot of the women we might want to celebrate, their histories are almost by definition quite hidden. And I think that's, if we did it again and if we had the time, it'd be really good to find out those stories. And I hope that people across the country will start to look at people from those communities, because I can think of a number. We also went almost exclusively for women who were not still alive. But I think I can think of lots of people from those communities who we could celebrate, who are contemporary. So I think for me, it would be that. It would be widening out the diversity of our women.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. In fact, when we our first meeting to think about the tour, and we did a little thing about what would success look like. And I think it was, we all said, what was successful, but also, a much greater representation of BAME and LGBTQ. And we've got another project which I'm not allowed to say too much about. We've got another kind of thing brewing, another Norwich-based project brewing, as well as the tour, and which is to do with street names. But I'm not going to say any more about that. But I'm hoping that that project will actually allow for us to, or for the women who do the research to expand and think about other ways of celebrating women. Because also it's not just about public life, is it? I mean, a lot of what this is, I think is really important, is that the things that are belittled and diminished are the domestic, and so maybe that's one of the things we want to think about as well. I think that's quite important. Yeah. Kate.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Well.
Oh dear.
Not really.
It's not the great big reveal I was hoping for.
No, I know, all me. This is what I was terrified of. That's the trouble with doing it live, isn't it? I don't know why it's not coming up. It's just welded to it. Whether it needs to get a bit drier, if you see what I mean. Whether it's because the Jessamite is still drying, because it does give off moisture as it dries.
It might be, because I mean, I think when we did the original one, sometimes we left them for a bit longer, didn't we? Can you just hold it up so we can get a general idea?
Yeah, I'm just trying to make this first line at least legible.
Yeah.
I can just about see Dr. Joyce, there's the Y coming.
Yeah.
And then the Lambert is here. I'm seeing an M there.
So obviously when all that clay is off, it'll be like a lovely porcelainy white colour, you know, and then it'll be ready for painting.
It'll be this sort of colour.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Rachel, who's going to paint it?
We'll put it up on the social media when it's done.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Ali. Yeah, so we'll post it on social media. Rachel, who's going to paint it?
I'd love our teenage history group to paint it, our young people. I think that would be great.
And have you had any ideas about where it might? Are you going to put it up in the Millennium Centre, do you think? Or are you going to?
Yeah, I'm thinking in the library would be a great home for it.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, great. So when that happens, Ali said she'll put it up on social media when it's done, but also when it's actually up there, we'll take a photograph, send it to us, and we'll put it on the plaque map.
Yay!
So we could, you know, so it can be added to that thing as well, because we need to start putting on that. I'm very excited about the plaque map. It's a techie thing. What time is it? Oh, that's 8 o'clock. So unless there's any more questions, I'm going to hand it back to Rachel now and go and get a glass of wine.
Brilliant. That was so good. Thank you, Rosies. That was a fantastic insight into your process and how the project came to be and how you put it all together. It's very impressive. Has anyone got any final questions before we say goodbye? Any sort of burning questions that you want to ask the Rosies? Stick them in the chat. Otherwise, thank you so much for tonight and for giving us a live plaque demo. That was really great to see. So thank you, Rosies.